Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Live
It's Wednesday.
here.
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Wow, this week is flying by. Compliments of Go Chevrolet. Driving us as always, GEAUXChevrolet.com. Good Wednesday morning to you. We're jam-packed here in the noodle. The carpool queen is here. Stewie is here. Noah is here. Lizzie is here on this Wednesday morning. We have Jim Nagy, and we're going to talk at 7:30 to Danny Burrow. We have got a text into Will Wade. Boot up, boys and girls, as that was a huge win last night for the Tigers on the road. Not that it was anything special. It was just a must-win. They had to win. They got the win. They did it. Looked right. I hate to say it, man. It was crazy to say this because you hate to see one person mean so much in basketball, but Xavier Pinson, my God, I knew he was a big deal for LSU. But, I mean, he stabilizes everything. And you see the domino effect. Tari's now coming back off the bench. That starting lineup last night that started that game is 15-0. So LSU will be back on a 2-game home swing. They got Mississippi State coming up this Saturday. We'll talk all about it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Every day brought to you by True Blue Water, Metropolitan Health Group, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, Jason Ramazan and Charles Harvey. Make sure and check those guys out over at Metropolitan Health Group. They bring you our phone sponsor, as always. And then, of course, Papa Earl's. 30% less spice than the competition.
Oh,
shout out to our friends at Good.
I was like, wait, 30% less spice.
30% less sodium,
That
sorry.
sucks.
100% spice.
Great
Yeah.
spice. Shout out to Sean Courtney and our friends over at Good Eats. Roca Pizzeria last night. Hosted the family over here at the Noodle. A lot of Italians
Family.
in this place last night. It was great.
What'd they think?
They loved the place. We watched LSU basketball. We watched Arkansas Auburn, which was an incredible scene that we will talk about. Lots to get to here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Thank you for being here on this Wednesday morning. Make sure you like, share, comment on the post. Shout out to AK Alvin Kamara, a new set design here, a new set addition to.
A little weird timing. But
No, we love the timing.
Perfect timing.
We love the
We
timing.
back our guy.
still weird timing, but yeah.
Make sure and
That's
check out
awesome.
our guy on Instagram. He is the best. Mark Fresh Art. Mark Verrett, who is a great friend of our show, really taking the set and the noodle to different places in all the rooms. You've seen the Burrow and the Chase that we've got in the watch room. This is now a cutout and a stand-up of AK, free AK. We're starting
AK.
we're starting the movement right here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
Gotta make some shirts.
Yes, but a
Oh,
great.
I got one.
That
Lloyd already
shirt's
got
great.
one.
Oh, I
Got his
ordered a shirt.
mugshot.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, free him.
Yeah, not a bad mugshot for AK.
It's got the parental advisory sticker on it. It's and I think it's the same people that copped our shirt for the Will Wade parental advisory. I think it's the same
No
company
way.
that's
They do
out there
work.
just hawking pictures.
That's
work.
funny.
Hey, good work if you could find
I
it.
know.
But shout out to our guy, Mark Fresh Art. You see him right there. He painted the Louisiana, and that's his logo right there. And
Don't be a weatherman.
Well, it's like when guys get ready in the mirror, and it's like, I don't know which way I'm going. And
Come out with
everybody's
the
like,
wrong
"Are you-"
part?
Yeah, it's like,
Wow,
do you know what you're
something's off
doing?
with you.
It's like, I don't know, dude.
Are you serious?
Oh, dude, I
That's
get
a
lost
mirror
in the
problem?
mirror all the
No.
time. Oh, yeah, because we don't do it.
Yeah.
So when we're like actually trying to get ready, it's just no chance.
Stewie, this is true.
Not true for me. I mean, I don't really get ready in the mirror, but
Oh,
you know.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like when it's like,
I like
you got to
check
do,
myself
out.
yeah, you got to get yourself
Zane.
all lined up, get lost in the sauce.
But shout out to your boy Sean Courtney, Roca Pizzeria, for hooking it up last night. They'll also be our sponsor for this Sunday's Super Bowl watch party that we're going to do over here with everybody. We should have a good crew watching Super Sunday over here at the Noodle. So if you're looking to watch it, make sure you got the TV on at your place wherever you are, and open up your phone or open up your laptop and watch along with us over on YouTube, Facebook, and JordyCulottaShow.com. All right, last night.
Modesto up in here.
Yeah, Modesto.
Margaritas,
yes.
tacos, all the
Modesto,
things.
they did
All
a
the
great
things.
setup, bro.
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right, last night at Reed Arena, LSU had to get right, and they won. They were able to topple the Aggies 76-68. Good numbers by LSU. The one that sticks out as far as a bad number, if you're looking for anything last night that was a little bit of the past, was the turnovers. Still 22 turnovers last night for LSU, but they were really able to beat A&M Both just in effort and energy. I thought their shots were falling last night. They were 8 of 16, shot 50%, nearly 50% from behind the arc last night. And really the difference, I thought, was getting off to a fast start. They played and were able to stabilize some confidence early on in the game that really set them up to win it at the end. Xavier Pinson, you saw it, man. He just really means a ton to what LSU does on the floor. It really is almost, you hate to put so much on one player on a basketball team because of what LSU just experienced. If you lose him, you could look lost. And that's what's happened to LSU, where, you know, they put so much on Pinson. And you could see Pinson's value on display last night. When he was off the floor compared to when he was on the floor, he stabilizes everything. He's a total just calming factor, not only for the players on the floor, but the bench, the coaches. And his ability to set guys up, to walk guys into good shots, to make good passes, to protect the ball. I know the turnovers was still a big number last night, and that's something that they've got to wrangle. You know, you forget how good that lineup and how good that team can be when they've got the right guys in the right place and they get out and start playing. I mean, Texas A&M's not world beaters, and beating Texas A&M does not mean that you're going to be right back where you were when you were, you know, dominating the start of the season. But from a mental standpoint, that had to be a really good win for LSU, just to get into the locker room, get on the bus, get on the flight home, and kind of feel as close back to normal as they were of starting the season. I know that they're not back, and they're not back to normal, and I don't know if you ever really get back to normal at this point in the season because everybody's banged up and you're putting a lot of wear and tear on your body, whether it's, you know, just playing twice a week, practicing, travel, all the stuff that goes into being a college basketball player. I don't know if you can ever really get 100% if you've been hurt in the season already, but LSU looked to as close of 100% as they have since the start of the season. They just needed that win, man. As Cardell Music says it inside of the chat, I mean, they just needed a win. I mean, they needed a scoreboard that they were on the right side of, that they can look up and see it and take it back home with them. Now they'll come home and play a good Mississippi State team. And, you know, hopefully they can carry over in what they experienced on the road. And that was also a good thing about it. On the road, away from your comfortable setting, away from your facility, getting away. I mean, that usually kind of brings a team together. It kind of closes them in. And it looked like LSU last night was ready to play. You could tell that Wade, Pinson, Tari Eason in the post game, that was a stress of really getting that off of their back, of just having a chance to get on the floor and win a basketball game, and they were able to do that last night. So, you know, on to the next one.
What percent would you put Pinson?
85 to 90 is what Wade said after the game.
Because were you surprised to see him out there? I didn't think that he was going to play. It seemed like, because just talking earlier in the week, it didn't feel like he was, I don't want to say anywhere close to playing, but the way that Will Wade was talking, he said, I mean, they asked him what difference does Pinson make, and he's like, all the difference in the world. And it didn't seem like he was going to be able to come out and play yesterday, like last night. So to see him out there, I was surprised. But do you think it'll be like an opportunity for him to be able to keep playing, or is this going to be monitor the situation like day to day?
Well, he looked good.
That's
I mean,
right,
the last time you saw
on?
him, he did not have the robotic knee brace.
Good,
I mean,
yeah.
he had like
That was a
a
cry
The
for
machine.
help.
kind of
Yes.
almost like a rec league type
Yeah,
knee
he
brace.
just
You know what I
missing the
mean?
spec
Something that you
racks.
could move around in
Yeah.
at least. I mean, he didn't look like a left tackle out
No, if
there.
you saw that guy at the rec, you'd be like, bro, just hang it up. You
Yeah,
don't have to
dude,
be out
it's
here.
over.
It's over.
It's over.
Will he play Saturday, do you think?
He's got. I mean, one thing that looked good. I mean, he was moving well,
Yeah.
and he looked like he was ready to play. I mean, the last time that we saw him, he couldn't move. Was it TCU?
Yeah.
Where he was out there, and you were just like, he's not ready. I mean,
Why are they
they're-
doing this?
Yeah, they can't do this. And then they tried to play him for an SEC game and rushed him back against Ole Miss, and Ruffin abused him. He just couldn't move him. I mean, just couldn't move. So last night he looked a little bouncy. He looked like he was moving a little bit. I mean, it looked like he was kind of getting off the ground. But, I mean, what he does better than anything, in my opinion, is that he just calms everything down.
He looks it, too.
I mean, like, he's almost like when he's out there and the ball's going crazy and people don't know what to do with it, he's almost like just kind of like, give me the ball. And once he snags the ball, he's just, everybody's cool. He'll point everybody out where they're supposed to be.
Like a teacher.
And then he'll kind of set you up. I mean, if you get open and you're working for the ball, I mean, how good did Brandon Murray look like last night starting the game, man? I mean, he looked so in rhythm.
He's better and better all the time.
He is. Improving. I mean, if somebody you would think could get you out of the scoring slump that they go into at times, he would be the one that you would hope step up. But he's banged up. He's hurt. You know, he's dealing with a hand injury that, you know, for a basketball player, I mean, that's brutal.
And he plays the most minutes.
Yeah. I mean, but you saw his start last night. I mean, Pinson was just kind of running him into a couple of three-point. I mean, he was just walking into him. And, I mean, he's got like a Jesus Shuttlesworth type shot, bro. I mean, you're just like
green every
time. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like as fundamentally sound of a jump shot as you can find. He gets off the ground, comes up, lands where he just takes off. And, I mean, all of this stuff
is perfect.
It's just perfect, man. I mean, the follow-through, it's so smooth and a lot. I mean, you know,
it's got a little KD release too. It's just like in a little pocket that you don't see every time, but when you see it, just like it's going in every day. Yeah, a little Ron Perley release.
So young,
and
focused.
Pinson,
focused.
From Baltimore.
Is he?
He's got that Baltimore look to him, man.
Every game's for life.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it just, you know, I mean, you hate to put so much pressure on one player in any sport, really. But Pinson means a ton to LSU basketball, right? I mean, he just means a ton to what LSU is trying to do.
What would you compare it to for somebody that obviously isn't your best player on the team, but most important, it feels like? Like, either it's for LSU basketball or just kind of sports in general?
Drew Brees and some of those slumpy
light
runs for the Saints where, I mean, think about taking him off of some of those teams on how bad they would have been. You know, I mean, I think Brees stands. I mean, Kamara last season for the Saints. You know, I mean, you saw how bad the Saints were when he was out compared to where they were when he was in. I mean, they almost looked like a, like a first, second, third type pick team in the draft without him offensively. They just couldn't get anything going. Then you put him back in there, and you look like one of the top in the league. Pinson has that. He's got that type of feel to him. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks, he feels like a quarterback. I mean, if you lose your quarterback in football, if you're not, you know, have a big-time backup, your play is going to fall off tremendously. Point guard in basketball, shortstop, catcher in baseball. I mean, you lose those types of guys. You lose quality players. And when you know, Pinson is not there, LSU can't hide it. They don't have anybody that can step up and do what he does.
It's the domino effect, because then you have to start moving people around to where, like, now everybody's a little bit out of position. He's like the one stalwart that, like, all right, if he's here, what are they, 15-0, 16-0 with the starting lineup?
15-0.
15-0 with the starting lineup on the floor. And that's if you have Pinson, then everybody gets to slide naturally into the position they're supposed to play.
Well, look, last night, Tari Eason's coming off the bench. Tari Eason is now coming off the bench playing the 4 or the 5, where
26?
he was starting at the 3. That's a totally different athlete guarding Tari. And like Will Wade said last night in the postgame, it's all about matchups. Basketball is all about matchups. There are certain teams that match up well with certain teams. There are certain teams that can't match up with other teams. Tari Eason playing against other people's small forwards compared to playing against everybody's power forwards on different nights is a totally different game plan for Tari Eason. And when you're starting him at the 3, those are the guys that are having to check him. But when you start bringing him off the bench and putting him at the 4, well, now he's got more energy than the guys on the floor. And the 4s in this league in the SEC have shown they can't guard him. He's too skilled. But some schools' 3s, some small forwards in this league can guard Tari Eason. But when he's in that role, like he was at the beginning of the season, where he can come in off the bench, he's got energy, he's going up against a different matchup, and he can affect the game in so many different ways. That's where LSU now feels more comfortable. They look around and they're like, okay, he's in the right role. Xavier Pinson's out here kind of running the show. Brandon Murray's stepping into 3s. Darius Days is hitting shots. I mean, everybody's now kind of getting into your lane and flowing. And it really was. It is. It feels. It looks really like just one player. And that can happen in sports. It's a scary concept to think about because of the possibility of what happens if he or she gets injured. And how do you replace it? And a lot of times you just can't. You just have to try and figure it out. You got to try and piecemeal it together with certain lineups and different approaches. But until you can get that player back, you really can't find your footing. And LSU last night looked like they found their footing. And just now, look, man, the turnovers are a problem. They gotta work on the turnovers. 22 turnovers last night is going to get you beat. It's going to, you can't beat teams.
They compared him to Rondo. I think
That's
that's
a
a
good
pretty
one.
apt comparison, especially with
Yeah.
the Celtics. Whenever he was out there, he made a big difference.
Good point guards.
He didn't score a lot, and that's what people are saying. Like 11 points, whatever, doesn't make the difference. It's not the points that you're getting from Pinson; it's the stability.
Rico Delgado. So hold up. Pinson
Yeah.
makes that big of a difference with 11 points and 2 assists? Absolutely. Watch the game. If you're not seeing the calming effect that not only he has on the floor, basketball is like a wave. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like trying to ride a wave. There's spurts. There's, you know what I mean? Like it's a game of runs. It's a game of emotion. It's a game of drama. It's like it's just kind of like you ride this wave and just trying to figure it out. And Pinson calms the wave down for everybody. Like when he is out there, the coaching staff is more. Look at the bench. Wade's not yelling, jumping around, looking, sitting against the scores table, looking exhausted. He's not doing all that stuff. He's very calm. Look at Darius Days. Look at Tari Eason. Look at Brandon Murray. Look at Eric Gaines when he gets into the game, when he's playing alongside Pinson now. Now all the pressure's not on him to find the open guys. Now he can play a little bit more of a slashing role where you want him to get to the basket. So yes, he does. He makes a huge impact on the game outside of the stat line. It's much more than stats with Pinson and what he can provide to just stabilizing the group. Stabilizing the entire approach of what they're trying to do. Even the bench. I mean, look at the sideline. You go back and watch that game when Pinson's out there. There's not as much barking and telling people where to be, where to go, what to do, what's going on. I mean, Pinson's got it. Just let him run it. It's just, it's not the proposition that you want going into the season where there's so much pressure put on one player to be on the floor and healthy for you to be achieving maximum success. But sometimes that's just the world of sports. Sometimes that's how it shakes out. And the way that it's shaken out for LSU this year is that they got to have Pinson on the floor. He's got to be on the floor for them to have really any chance of beating anybody that's any good. I mean, that scene last night at Arkansas
That was amazing.
was wild. The fact that the Hogs beat Auburn, who's the number one team in the country. First Arkansas win over a number one team in Fayetteville since 1984 when Michael Jordan and the North Carolina Tar Heels went into Bud Walton and got down by Nolan Richardson's Arkansas team. I mean, it was a incredible scene after that game. If I'm Auburn...
Dean Smith caught a stray in that. Did you see
Did he?
that? Yeah, in the 84 game, they were showing the highlights on SVP, and somebody hit him with a pom-pom or something. Dean Smith whipped his head around, and he was like, they're like, don't you go after Dean now. He'll go up there and get you, especially in the 80s.
If I'm Bruce Pearl, I'm going after the SEC this morning. And I'm not trying to rain on Arkansas's parade. That was a great scene. That was a great time. I mean, I don't know how Musselman lost his shirt somewhere in the pack because I saw
ripped it off of him.
I saw an interview that was happening like nearly seconds after the game went final, and Musselman is standing in the tunnel. He's in the sling. He's fully dressed. And he's really just kind of recruiting. I mean, he's just talking about what an atmosphere it is. This is what happens when you come to Arkansas. They've always known that this type of program. He's just recruiting into the camera. And then somewhere along the way, he's standing alongside his daughter and wife shirtless with the sling on. It's like, Eric, at what point did this happen?
I know,
And
did
why
the
do
shirt
you
come
think
off
that
with
he's
the
almost
sling?
like the Britney Spears of social media? It's like,
So proud
bro,
of his
Wait.
body.
it's not that you don't have the body to be walking
know.
around
No,
it's
shirtless.
not a bad
Did you not
body,
see the video of him
It's really not.
like singing with the students with his shirt off? He's in the middle of the
standing on the-
student
yeah, he's in
section
the
This
student
guy.
section
with his shirt
shirtless.
off.
I mean, the Arkansas
Did
AD's
he
got to
have
be
the
like,
sling on
I mean,
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
a
give
sling
him
on.
a
that's-
Get
shirt.
the
Sling
shirt
on,
off
going
with
crazy.
the sling on? That's what I wonder.
That's the question. It's like, how badly does he need
Did
this
you have to
sling?
unwrap
Right,
your
I'm
waist
telling you.
thing and your
So-
arm thing and then
or
take your
you're
shirt
cutting
off?
it off.
But it's back
It's
on.
back
with the
on,
shirt
so he
off.
had to
So how
take
did
his
it
sling
happen?
off, take the shirt off, and if
Yes.
his shoulders hurt, that's the hardest part of getting
Yes.
anything up and over your body. It's tough.
Did they just cut the
And
shirt
so I
off?
guess he probably ripped it Superman style, and then puts the
Loco
sling
Joe
back
style.
on. And he's ready to go.
Nuts.
Unreal that he has the sling back on and his shirt
It
off.
is. It is.
Such
But
a
if I am,
point.
but if I am Pearl, that was such a dangerous situation for a student athlete, for a basketball player.
Sound
I
like
guess
an old man.
I do sound like an old man. I do. I know I sound like an old man. But if you watch the end of that game on that run-out dunk, that Auburn defender is going back to either say something or go at that Arkansas player, and he gets swallowed
Well, they all did.
up by the entire crowd coming on the field, and the lights go out.
That was the best part.
I mean, like,
Their
bro,
light
it's
show
like
is
it is
cool.
like almost setting the stage. Look at
Put
Musselman.
this in the Louvre. It
Look
looks like a
at
painting.
Musselman, dude.
It's amazing.
Remember that Trey Quinn picture of him riding the crowd against
Yeah.
that game? I mean, that almost looks as good of a. That is unbelievable.
He usually does have a pretty good
What a-
body. How old
yeah,
is
he's
he?
great. I don't know.
I'm saying 50.
I mean,
Really?
Will Wade can't do this.
No way. No way, bro.
I don't know.
Look at him, dude. It looks.
about
I mean,
that.
it might be the best night of his life.
It might be.
Well, he
They're
sounded like
unranked.
it.
He looked-
Beating
He sounded
Auburn,
like
who's
it.
never been ranked #1 in program history.
He's
I mean,
like the divorced
geez.
dad that showed up to a college
is like
party,
that.
Yeah.
and they're just like,
He
"Dude,
is
come
like
kick it
that.
with us." And he ends
Wow.
up shirtless playing
Look at
beer
this guy.
pong. Yeah, like this guy's got the
Eric
goods.
Good
He's
Lord.
57.
He
57.
is?
57.
Damn, he looks
Damn, he's still got
good.
abs.
Yeah, he was
looks
cool skull.
great.
Go back to that picture.
He's definitely cool sculpting.
57.
He looks like this man's hand. He's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, he looks
I mean,
great. Their
that looks like a
arena is
picture
great,
that is
right?
going to be in a textbook about this era and cell phones. Look at the amount of cell phones in the air, dude.
I mean, nobody had not a cell phone in sight. Everybody just enjoying the moment.
Cordell Music, Will Wade would get fined.
What
Capital
a fun
fine.
atmosphere, though.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Their
I mean,
arena's good,
they had,
huh?
yeah, it is when it's rocking like that. The only thing about their arena is that it's so big. When you suck, it
It's
is like
big.
a Walmart. You know what I mean? It is like
But it's
playing.
nice,
But when
right?
you can put that many people in there, I mean, you could feel it. That atmosphere was buzzing last night.
Yeah, you
man.
knew that was happening.
Yeah, that was big time college basketball. But that was a dangerous scene at the end of that game,
Oh
man.
my God.
Bro. I mean, that's how somebody gets knocked out, whether it's a player or a fan. You either put your I mean, that's some AK stuff.
The lob.
Trying to touch my head. You know, don't put your hand on my head.
Dude, the lob bounced pass off the ground
Incredible.
to a dunk, and that guy I was just watching again. What is that Aubrey guy trying to do? He looked just like he
He
undercut
was,
it.
he was going back to
what,
let
tell
him
him
know, like,
something?
you don't.
Bro, the game's
that's
over.
disrespecful, though. Like, that's
Oh
like,
hell no, dude! You
yeah,
would have done the
super
same thing.
disrespectful.
I know it
Yeah.
is, but dude, at that moment, it gets #1 at
I
home.
agree.
That place
I mean,
rocking.
I probably would have
best
did the
ending
same
of a
thing,
game.
but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
best
mean,
I've
I
ever
think
seen.
what was it? Michael Jordan and the Bulls. One of their championships ended on a dunk win, where like Pippen is like running towards the ball and he scoots it up to like Kukoc, and Kukoc grabs it and runs it out, left
Jams
hand
it.
dunks,
Yeah.
and like bang, and the place just goes. I mean, like it is one of the best endings. The streamers start falling from the roof. It might have been their fifth. It might have been their first win over Utah. Is how that I think that series ended in '97 like that, and that was it felt kind of like that last night. I mean, at least Arkansas is making it seem like they won the damn national
Yeah, that was.
championship.
They did go a little
But
over.
that's
Yeah, it was
huge
97.
For them.
Was it
Think
97?
about that.
97?
I mean, look who they beat.
Yeah.
Like, look at all the history there. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Auburn's been playing with fire though. This was like
Yeah, they
you
have.
could kind of see
They-
this
the
coming.
Georgia game,
Yeah,
the
oh, God.
Arkansas
I feel
game.
sorry for him, though. I mean,
Don't
what
feel
a
sorry
streak.
for the
I
number
do,
one
because
team in
what
the
a
country.
streak, and they've never been #1 in history.
Yeah, but they'll
I
be
mean,
they'll be there at the end.
Yes.
maybe
They'll be there at the end.
Still coming.
Remember, daily, we were brought to you by GoFlow, GEAUX, FlowIV.com. GoFlow is located on Jefferson Highway. Check them out at 7370 Jefferson Highway or online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. GoFlowIV.com is where you can find them online. You can reserve your appointment today right there online, and if you use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show, you'll receive 15% off of your initial visit over to see our friends over at GoFlow. Tell them you heard it right here over at the Jordy Culotta Show. Receive 15% off. They do take walk-ins, but they recommend appointments if you can get to them. Easiest way to do it is just log online at GoFlowIV.com. That is GEAUX, FlowIV.com. They offer memberships. Remember, if you want memberships, 3-month, 6-month, annual memberships, they all have those available for you. But great service. If you suffer from chronic dehydration, if you've been sick, if you're trying to get over the illness, if you're still an athlete and looking for athletic performance to improve, or if you're just hungover and you need a little cure, stop in and see GoFlow, GEAUX, FlowIV.com. The Bengals are out in Los Angeles. That's
Bengals.
right. The Bengals.
Bengals.
Big bangle.
Yeah,
You have been corrected
bangle.
by Kelly, by me, by
Brody
Urban
Miller said it.
Dictionary or
It's
what?
Bengals.
It's Bengals.
It's Bengals.
No, Brody Miller is a fan,
He's a fan
of the
too.
franchise, and he's been saying
So?
Bengals.
That's who knows.
It's still
you have to
Bengals.
ask. You have to ask the people boots on the ground.
And
I mean, come on.
for whatever
y'all.
reason, this is something that crawls at a lot of people. I don't know why. This is the
Bengal
hill
thing?
that some people want to die on.
Yeah. Because it's
But
a
I'm
Bengal
going,
tiger.
I'm going
that's why.
Bengals. I'm going Bengals, man. Bengals have landed out in Los Angeles, getting prepared for Super Bowl 56. Danny Burrow is Joe's brother and a hell of a wingman. We will tell some stories, and we will talk about.
He's been doing it his whole life, probably.
He is the best. We will talk about when Danny and crew lands out in L.A. and what the ticket situation is, and what this ride has been like. Coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. I see Nick Richard
Neek.
is back.
You're just excited about those
From his vacation, and don't forget about those the crew over at Go Chevrolet, GEAUXChevrolet.com. We will be back with Danny Burrow right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Remember, online at GEAUXChevrolet.com, and all of our stuff is podcast and brought back to you by RMB Builders, RMB-Builders.com. Danny Burrow, a long-lost legend of Baton Rouge and so many other cities now, preparing for Super Bowl 56 as his brother Joey and the Bengals find themselves heading to Los Angeles to take on the Rams as 4.5-point underdogs. Nobody is betting against Joey in Cincinnati, but here to take us on the ride and tell us a little bit about the journey is one of my favorites, man. Danny Burrow, who we became close during the run that Joe was here for 2 years and watched the Natty together. And it was a great experience, and now it's awesome to see what Joe is doing on the professional level. And we catch up here with Dan this morning on the Jordy Culotta Show. Yo, bro, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jordy. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Let's just start with the present. What has the last couple of weeks been like? What is the playoff run been like? The divisional round, the wild card, and the AFC Championship last weekend.
Yeah, it's been wild. My fiance had surgery a couple months ago, so we didn't get to go to many games. We went to week 2 in Chicago. Then she had surgery. We basically took the rest of the year off. Started getting ramped back up week 17. She went to Cincy, so we saw that. That kind of started the run, and then we've been to every playoff game since. So it's been wild. It's been very reminiscent of traveling east 4 hours to BR every weekend. Took a few years off of my life, but I feel the same. I'm very happy, very excited to have that off week before to kind of regroup. But it's just been wild. It's just been much more of the same. Watching Joe and the Bengals do their thing been incredibly exciting, and also just been fun. Like going into Nashville, going into Kansas City. I mean, you could feel it. Nobody's giving us a chance, and it's been very fun to go in there and pull off an upset.
A win for the Bengals there, that answer, if anybody noticed as well. Danny Burrow joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Danny, it's just been wild to think about. I mean, your dad and I had circled the Super Bowl a couple of years that was going to be in New Orleans, which, by the way, buddy, if they make it, it's on. It is.
Run it back.
Good Lord, run it back. But the timeline on this stuff, I mean, even the LSU stuff was crazy to be living in 2019, all of the success week in, week out. The timeline on him in the Super Bowl and getting this franchise there, from your point of view, how do you take that?
Interesting enough, happened to talk to Shea Dixon yesterday, and I didn't kind of realize it, but it's just Joe doing what Joe does. Yeah. Like we saw him do this in high school, and this is where I'm going. I didn't realize it, but as we were going through that, and Shay's kind of been like, this, we were kind of like, yeah, been here, done that, like much smaller scale, Athens, sure. Ohio, Southeast Ohio, but like they got to their first playoff, or they made it to the playoff games. I think Joe's sophomore year. Their coach or somebody's just over the moon. Robin's kind of like, well, hey, we're here, but this ain't it. Like, we need to win some games. So I think they win a game or two that sophomore year, and everything changed. and everything changed. And then the next 2 years, he got to the state championship his senior year, didn't win it. And then in LSU, it's just kind of like that senior year after that first half of the season, especially getting through that Alabama game. Yeah. Then it was just kind of, for us, it's kind of like, well, this is what he does. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't surprising. And, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little surprised at how quickly he's been able to do this in Cincinnati. But at the end of the day, this is just what he does. So it doesn't surprise me. It surprises me at how quickly they've been able to do this. But par for the course for Joey B, I guess.
Absolutely, no doubt. The town of Cincinnati. I know that you didn't live in that part of the country long with your family. You were often moving when he was in high school. What can you describe? I mean, it's very comparable to the Saints 15 years ago when they got Peyton and Breeze, and you're like, they'll never win. and then these guys start, like their first year, they're in the NFC Championship game, and then a couple years later they're in the Super Bowl, and you're like, oh my God, this is nuts. The Cincinnati comparison feels right, but somebody who has lived that and experienced it, I mean, these people have to be, they can't even feel themselves walking on the ground, right? They got to be walking on clouds.
I have to assume so. I've never been an NFL guy. When you reference that Saints story, it's kind of like just foreign to me. I don't really know what you're talking about, but I do, because that's the same situation the Bengals are in. But, I feel like there's a whole bunch of new Louisiana Bengals fans, Texas Bengals fans, but I'm right there with y'all. Like, I'm a new Bengals fan too. But clearly they've been, not on a good run. I think it was, 31
Nice way to
years.
say it.
Very politically said there, Danny.
They're
Thank
right
you.
on the corner, right? They're about to turn the corner, 30 years away.
They're a fucking dumpster fire. How about that?
Yeah, and I mean, I have a, vague memory of that, 89, 90 Super Bowl when the Niners, they got run out of there. But I guess that was the last, sliver of shining time for the Bengals. So I'm excited for the long time Bengals fan. I'm just really excited for Joe. I think that captures every Cincinnati Bengals fan across the country, and kind of playing with house's money right now, and the future is bright. I like our chances this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
can't bet against him. I mean, shit. I mean,
can't do that. No.
It'd be like betting against Belichick or Brady or Saban. I mean, it's just like he's going to torch you. What's your schedule like this week? Are you going?
Quick trip, yes sir. Going. Joe bought me a couple tickets. They were steep, so I needed some help on that one. But we have a quick trip. We've got a little senior dog that's going through some issues right now. We're out Saturday morning, land in LA about 8:30. Saturday morning, late afternoon flight on Monday on the way home. So we'll be able to sleep in and get rested up after celebrating Sunday night, hopefully.
My cousin yesterday, a distant cousin, because I didn't know he was rolling like this. If I'd have known, I'd definitely hit him up for some advertising months ago. He told me he spent $16,000 on 2 Super Bowl tickets in the 400 level yesterday because he's a huge Burrow and Chase fan, and he's flying him and his wife out there yesterday. I asked him what those cost, and he told me it was $8,000 a piece to sit in the 400 level of Sunday's game, to give you an idea of just what tickets are going for right now.
Or Joe Burrow could be your brother.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or Joey B. Danny, I remember at certain times in 2019 being alongside you, your mom, your dad, at some point, and really just being like, this is amazing. You have to pinch yourself of just the week in, week out success, but he has this calming effect of that it's almost going to happen. There's this belief in him that he's going to come through. So not being, like the talk of not betting against him, I couldn't imagine Cincinnati not having a chance to win this game on the last drive or late into the fourth quarter come Sunday. I mean, how do you see this thing? How do you feel about this game going in?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Joe has you know who Joe is. Just, quiet, confident. He's never too high, never too low. So I always feel like we're in good hands. Joe's got the ball. He's going to make good decisions. He's going to take care of the football, and always give us a chance. And, he has turned it on here in the playoffs, because turnover battle is critical, and he knows that. And I think he's got maybe 2 interceptions in the playoffs, maybe 1 tip ball, one bad throw. But I mean, that's what's going to be critical. as long as, he continues to do that, we're going to have a chance. And as long as we take care of the football, we've got to limit some sacks. But, get Joe the ball. He's going to make good decisions. He's going to get it to playmakers. And as long as we can give him a little time, my dad rewatches those games too, and he said, Dan, sometimes there's just guys coming just free, and Joe makes a miss real quick, gets away, and, we're in a 10-yard game. So where it's, normal people take sacks, Joe somehow comes out of there with positive yards. And that third down scramble last week was, don't know how he was able to get away from that.
Dancing away from Chris Jones, bro.
Yes.
I mean, dude, high stepping
time.
through all pros.
Man, he's kind of getting away. I'm like, get those heels out. And then he clicks them just at the right time.
He did.
Eyes at the back of his head, dude.
He did.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the state championship loss, and there's been a lot made of it that he still thinks about it. Is there even a chance that a Super Bowl win might erase that memory of
No
the
way.
high school state
No
championship,
way.
or does he hold on to that forever?
I
mean, he's a chip collector.
I think he holds on to that forever. I used to listen to those games growing, like back in the day. I would listen to them, and they got them on video, they got them on streaming. But anyways, a work buddy here has a bit like he wouldn't watch Cats until high school, but he saw an interview with Joe. Joe says that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
That state championship game. So just hearing that answer, I don't think he would. It's ever gonna he'll get past it. But I did tell somebody this week that people are asking, "Oh, is Joe a cigar smoker?" I said, I don't think Joe's ever smoked more than 2 cigars in his entire life. In fact, he may have had one in his bag at that state championship game that he just didn't get to smoke. I don't know.
He still holds on to that, dude. He still has it somewhere.
No doubt. He
Yeah.
does.
Maybe that's the one he pulled out at the Superdome.
Ooh.
Danny, I am a father, a young father, and I know that fathers watch Joe, and we have great access to Coach Jimmy. He comes on with us really anytime we ask, and I saw he was on Feinbaum yesterday, and I've seen him all over the press junkets during this. Do you get an idea of how cool this is for your dad, just to kind of see, one of you boys? He feels like the next Tom Brady. He really, and hearing him and Brady speak last week on that podcast, it almost feels like Brady feels that way too.
Hey, you said it, Jordy. I didn't. Yeah, I agree with you, and I know that we're all proud of Joe,
Sure.
and I know my dad really has enjoyed kind of the spotlight and these interviews. I kind of give him a hard time sometimes. I'm like, Dad, you need to say no. Like, I'm like, he said, I've got 10 interviews on Monday, 7 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday. And then I'm shutting them down. I'm like,
Breakfast with Peter King.
Shut it in. 25.
Right.
I think you've reached your quota, Dad. But I know he enjoys it. He loves it. And another good thing, he's retired, and that's pretty new. So it gives him something to do.
Right. Danny, it is great to catch up, man. Enjoy the trip. Hopefully everything works out with the pup. Tell Jay hello, and hopefully we catch up soon, man. A trip to New Orleans or South Louisiana needs to be on the plans here pretty quickly.
Hell yeah, we coming. Thanks for having me on, Jordy. Enjoy the show. Hooday.
All right. Later, buddy. There's Danny Burrow checking in this morning from Houston, Texas, as he gets set for a trip to Super Bowl 56 there to watch his brother, Joe Burrow, quarterback the Cincinnati Bengals, which, by the way, boy, if there was
another win for the Bengals.
If there was ever any discussion on which way the Burrows lean, they are obviously a Bengal fam because
Clearly.
We have it. Was it only 4? Because it felt like 20.
I know he rattled off a couple in a row.
It was almost like on purpose. I
think
like.
he was listening before.
Yes.
Did a little tape
He
study.
Understands.
Yeah.
How about Nick Richard's real strong comment in here that says, I would put my dog down before I would miss that game? Damn, Nick.
I kind of agree with Nick. Yes.
What would be the thing
I'm
that you would miss?
Where's the line?
Where is the line? That
Where's
might
the
be it.
line?
Crosses the line.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase's first Super Bowl taking on Whitworth and Odell Beckham in L.A. What's the line that you
Like,
say?
or just going or watching?
Watching. Like, to somebody take that away from you.
I mean, I could put my dog down and then just go to the game.
No doubt
it's
about
like,
it.
Dude, love you. Later, you're in pain. I see you. Bye.
What?
No
No,
doubt.
I don't know that his dog is sick. I think he's
Oh, you're just gonna
saying.
kill it?
Yeah, I think he's saying if I had to, I'd put the bullet in the dog.
I don't know that his dog needs putting down.
Nick, we get it, bro. We get it. We get
You
it.
hate
We
your
got
dog,
it. We
all
got
right?
it.
Real
We got
strong.
it.
My wife bought this dog.
Nick's daughter's like, see?
I know.
I knew it.
Told you
knew
you hated
it.
him.
Y'all, I did a little research, and did you know that Musselman has a history of taking his shirt off after
Yes,
games?
absolutely.
And do you know where it started? At Nevada when they won the CBI championship.
Oh, I think it started at LSU as an assistant. I mean, I'd see him walking around the halls with his shirt off.
Well, he told Dan Patrick that's where it started. He went to change his dress shirt, and then the team picked him up, and his shirt came off, and it became a tradition.
Sure.
Sounds like
Eric.
a lie.
Just came off.
Right.
I wasn't done trying.
Next thing you know, I was shirtless. I don't know how it happened.
That was a tradition.
Yeah, right. We were both standing there naked.
There are so many photos of him shirtless, though, out there.
Accidentally,
He's proud
huh?
of it.
Yeah, right. Somehow this just keeps
It
happening.
keeps happening. Now it's a tradition. She's trying to peg it as a tradition. Like,
Yeah, right.
I think it's your tradition,
I
Eric.
still need
Eric.
somebody to tell us how it happened with the
I need to
arm
know how it
brace.
happened last
Well, then we
night.
can talk to our boy Hayes.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Talk about your boy coming up here.
Oh
There
yeah,
has to be
So
footage of it.
no, we'll get the background story from
Good.
my buddy that we were both in Kappa Sig together, fraternity guys, and he worked on the LSU basketball staff with Musselman. Followed him to Nevada, and I was on staff with him in Arkansas. So I'm going to get him to come on
Wow.
around 8:30.
Must be a dog.
He is, and dude, a couple intramural championships for the guy under the belt.
wow.
I think he was a little too good to be in the league, but they let him play. And then I think there's a rumor out there they may have gotten teed up, double tech, tossed in the charity co-ed game.
I
so
love
we got
this guy.
We got to see if
I
he'll,
love
he
this
denies
guy.
it, but everybody else was saying this is very
Why?
true.
No denial.
Yeah, the ladies
Own it.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Take
somebody
your shirt
asked me
off
2
about
weeks
it.
ago, did you get thrown up an 8-year-old basketball? I did. I
Yeah,
did.
on purpose. I wanted
Absolutely.
to.
Fucking kid walked. You know what I mean? You're going to call it or you're not. If they're not, I'm going to make sure they know about it. Daily, we're brought to you
Pick it up
by...
and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Remember, online at falaya.com. Get in touch with our friend Barrett Blondo over at Falaya Real Estate. You can easily find it inside of your Apple and your Android app store if you want to download that to keep up with Falaya, as we said. The podcasts have been fantastic. He sat down with Spence Maxey earlier this week, who is a longtime inspector in the Baton Rouge area, nearly 20 years in the business, and was really given some background on the real estate market and what's going on really in the market of Baton Rouge right now. Very interesting sit down on a cool set, what Falaya has going on with their podcasting and their way of informing the customer. Sell your home like a pro today with Falaya. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As you can see, a very informative website at falaya.com, and you can download the app and get in touch with them. As we will talk to Jim Nagy coming up here in about 10 minutes. LSU football shelled out at the Senior Bowl earlier this week. And we'll talk to Nagy about the experience and just how much interest and intrigue he has brought. He set up a radio row there, and hopefully next season we can be present there. I know T-Bob and Hester were down there all week, and it was really cool to see that programming because it is the NFL. Mm-hmm. It used to be a hideout, right, where it was like just kind of almost like the NFL would get down there for a week and kind of hunker
like a
down.
speakeasy.
It was like you could go down there and like you could see Bill Belichick at just some like local diner in.
That's what I was wondering. You could just go out and be around all these people.
I mean,
like
they're just moving
dinner and
around.
stuff?
They're
That's
just moving
cool.
around Mobile. And one thing that Nagy has done is that he's turned it into an event. He's turned it into almost a must-visit type spot for NFL followers, fans, but more the players that have attended and now taking part in this game has really exploded over the last couple. I think Baker Mayfield was like the biggest one a couple of years back that did this, and he was like the number one pick. And Nagy has really kind of gone off and taken that model and really attracted a lot of high-end players to the Senior Bowl, which is obviously going to bring down a lot of attention from, from representatives from teams. So, I mean, like, you go down there and all 32 teams are represented by either like their head coach or general manager or somebody in the power structure, and it's just it's a real cool event. And we'll talk to Nagy coming up. And it seemed like LSU really took advantage of it, obviously with Damone Clark and Neil Farrell were down there having really big weeks. Evan Ingram sounded like he had a really big week of working out down there. So we'll ask him about the LSU presence and the guys of how much they improved their stock working out down at the Senior Bowl with Nagy. And this kind of when does the recruiting start for the next game? I mean, that's got to be a wild schedule to try and fill those rosters out with just a specific, player with a specific, you can only be. They do now take early entry juniors, but I mean it has to be upperclassmen.
Who makes those decisions?
Nagy.
All that.
Really?
Really?
I imagine that he's got a committee.
Don't you have to have like a degree? Like
As an underclassman?
If you're an early entrant,
Yeah.
you have to have the
Oh, you
degree.
do?
Yeah, you got to be an early grad
Okay.
to be at the game. But it has the interest around it. Not so much, and it's not so much the game, really. It's not the Saturday game that gets all the attention. It's the daily practices within the week leading up to the game. The Monday through Friday, or it might be Sunday through Friday workouts in Mobile is the one that really, that has all the interest. I mean, really, the place is kind of a ghost town for the game. Nobody's really there. Everybody kind of cuts out.
Like they leave Mobile?
Yeah, because they got all the information they need.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like you've really been playing games every single day on the practice field. And on the practice field, they can stop it and say, I want to see Brian Robinson Jr. go up against Damone Clark in a one-on-one pass protection drill. And that's all I need to see. I don't need to see them in a game situation. I just want to see these two alphas go at it. Wow, Damone Clark just abused him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Like the pencil.
Appreciate it.
First round pick. There
Yep,
we go. Put
there
the
it
ticket
is.
in.
And we'll ask that to Nagy, because I saw a linebacker board where Clark was like far down the list.
A lot of LSU people seem to be dropping down the old draft boards.
And we'll obviously ask him about this Super Bowl, Burrow. Now I know Burrow didn't play in the game, but we'll ask him about just the impact that Burrow had. I mean, Nagy's got this very impressive NFL resume where he was a scout for like 20 years for the Patriots, the Packers. I mean, he's got a couple of rings. Some of the real
I think
elite.
He's the one that drafted Julian Edelman. Didn't
Yes.
he like put the card in? He's
Yeah.
like he's the one that
Oh,
went
really?
to bat for him, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, he had like he did the scouting report on him.
He's very well respected. I mean, this position is a very well respected decision. It used to be Cleveland Browns general manager, and the guy that did the Alabama football color commentating was the guy that ran the Super Bowl that Nagy took over for. I can't his name is slipping my mind, but I mean, it's a big position. You know what I mean? This is.
I feel like he's done the most with it.
Absolutely,
Like,
he has
he
taken
did
it
it
and
the
kind
right
of taken
way.
it to the next level.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
Well,
even during the games, they play hard. Like
Yeah.
the game is not. It's not like the Pro Bowl that you just saw. Like they're out there tackling, and like some guys are out there trying to get drafted.
Absolutely. Well, no, it's a tryout.
Yeah.
It's an absolute tryout. Okay, we'll get to Nagy here coming up on the Jordy Culotta Show. Don't forget, we're brought to you by Morales Roll-Offs, commercial residential roll-off dumpsters. Get in touch with them over at Morales Roll-Offs. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Local business, great customer service, and great prices. They have everything from a 10-yard dumpster to a 40-yard dumpster.
And it's not
it's not 40 yards in length.
Really,
Whoosh.
Y'all got
could have pimped the
nailed
hell
for
out of
that.
We were
Jeez.
excited.
Did we not show
Nobody's
off the
having that.
IQ right there, bro?
There's the dimensions
Goodness
right there too.
gracious.
So how big is it?
Yeah, right. 40 yards, huh?
40 yards, huh?
Get your
Quite
get your
the
next
size.
See if I can
roll-off
throw it across
dumpster
this
from a
thing.
local company. Who cares about your project? Can I live here? Morales roll-offs. Can I get a tent? MoralesRolloffs.com.
They're probably like, geez, we got to talk to y'all about our sponsorship. Y'all selling something weird over there.
No, you had no idea what we're doing over here, do you?
That's what I was concerned about. Like
MoralesRolloffs.com. They're also in the U-Haul business, which we have a better understanding of, we promise. If you're trying to move something and you need a U-Haul, stop
40
in and
yards
see
of U-Haul.
Morales. 16155 Airline Highway. 16155 Airline Highway. It is a great local business, I will tell you that, man. It is great. People, when you walk in there, they're serving you with a smile. You can find more of all the information online at MoralesRolloffs.com, located, as we said, on Airline Highway.
I think they need to be the official roll-off company of R&B Builders as well.
Yeah.
We gotta get that happening.
Wow, there you go.
Right?
There you go.
That needs to
Look,
happen.
I'm booking one now, only $500. Where's the credit card?
Yeah. Right here.
There you
Make it happen. All right, Jim Nagy next here from the Senior Bowl, talking about last week in Mobile and some of the LSU guys, and we'll ask his outlook on this week's Super Bowl.
Next.
He replaced Phil Savage.
Phil Savage. Let's see who it was. Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled
Go
financial
Chevrolet is
advisor?
proud to
Get in
announce
touch with our
Go
friend Daniel
Express
Newman
Auto
over at
Sales, the
Edward
new
Jones. You
used
can
car
find him
lot
easily.
located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard.
Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com.
Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. Two spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73, or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show on this Wednesday morning.
Stop. Have we really?
Poll question is up. Is it Bengals or Bengals? What is the correct pronunciation of the team in the Super Bowl that's going to win? We're going to ask Jim Nagy how he feels about the Super Bowl coming up here. Before we get him out of here, he's our next guest brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group on the Metropolitan Health Group phone line. He is the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Done incredible work down there. He's on social media at @JimNaggy_SB. And as we said leading into the interview last segment, as impressive as of an NFL resume as you will find, and the things that he's done down to the game has been real cool, man. There's a lot of interest down there in Mobile for what's happening around Senior Bowl week. Jim, good morning. How are you, man?
Yeah, good morning, guys. And it's Bengals. The Bengals were an all-girl group in
Thank
the
you,
1998.
Jim.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, Jim. It's been pointed out a couple of
that's
times.
Nice talking to you,
All
Jim.
right,
I'll
all
catch up with
right,
you
all
next
right,
week.
all right. Jim, we'll
That's
talk to you
all it
next year for the
takes.
Senior Bowl. It's good having you on.
You're dead to him, Jim. You're dead to Jordy.
Jim, it looked like the LSU. We'll start local, obviously, with the LSU crew. Damone Clark had a stellar senior season the entire year. He really broke out. It felt like each week he was improving, and then to see the highlights that were coming out from your event last week. What did you make of Damone Clark, LSU's linebacker, a local guy from here in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, Damone had a great week, and I think he's riding some great momentum right now. Like you said, coming off a great senior year, took a big jump. I mean, he was like, if we would have had to pick rosters over the summer, he would have been around the cut line for the game. It wasn't a shoo-in at all. You know, we really kind of questioned his instincts. Off the junior tape, just seeing and reacting, and you know, new defensive scheme this year really settled in, and was obviously the production was off the charts. So, no, had a really good week down here. What I didn't realize with Damone was how big this guy is.
Yeah.
Like through his core and through his trunk, like this is a big man. So you usually when you get guys as fast as Damone and guys that can close the way he can, I mean they're smaller guys. This is a big guy that can really run and hit. So, yeah, I mean, he's to me, he's squarely a day 2 player now, somewhere second or third round. I don't think he's getting out of day 2. And now how much higher can he climb the rest of the process? What's he going to run? I'll be interested to get back our Zebra technology tracking data stuff from the week to see, you know, where he came in on those numbers, the miles per hour stuff that we tracked during our week. But yeah, he did. He had a really good week, and his teammates voted him practice player of the week, you know, as did Neil Farrell's teammates. So that would have been voting on the linebackers. It would have been the running backs and the offensive line from that team's crew. So who knows those guys better than the guys that are going up against him for 3 days in practice. So that I think that tells you it's the kind of week you don't have.
Yeah, Jim, I thought it was most impressive with the LSU guys down there. You mentioned Farrell and even Evan Ingram along with Damone. It sounded like had a really good week from leadership standpoint, as their peers recognized what they were doing. How important is that to a scout, a guy like you who spent 18 years scouting these prospects? How important is the mental part of what the scouts, GMs, head coaches had access to last week in Mobile?
Yeah, all of it's big. All of it's big. It's like trying to put together that puzzle so they're all different pieces. So any takeaways you can get. I mean, really in the big scope of things, Jordy, I mean, teams don't get that much time around these guys. When you're talking about making $1 million investments in players, I mean, really there's not a lot of time during the pre-draft process for these teams to, you know, get to know them. And that's why the selling point of Mobile is you get 7 straight days. So there's always takeaways. There's takeaways. You watch guys walk out to practice. Like who are they walking out with? How are they warming up? How are they preparing for practice? You know, if they get beat in a one-on-one rep, how do they bounce back the next rep? So there's, I mean, throughout the week, there's tons of little takeaways. And yeah, I think Ed established himself as a leader in that offensive line room. And with Neil, I mean, that's another guy. Everyone talks about the week Jermaine Johnson had on the defensive line for the American squad out of Florida State. You know, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and he had a great week. But his teammates, you know, the offensive line for that crew did not vote Jermaine Johnson the Player of the Week. They voted Neil Farrell the Player of the Week. So that tells you the kind of week Neil had.
When you're scouting defensive linemen, Jim, what's the first thing or most important thing that you're looking for in those big guys?
Pass rush. Yeah. They got to. I mean, if you're watching these NFL playoffs, even in a loss, you look what the Tennessee Titans did with Jeffrey Simmons and that crew up front against Joe Burrow and getting, you know, I think they sacked Joe 8 or 9 times that game. You need guys that can rush the passer. So really just explosive qualities is what you're looking for. In length, if you can find long guys that are explosive, that's why Perrion Winfrey from Oklahoma who was the game MVP, is probably gonna go in the first round now. Maybe jumped a couple rounds just off Senior Bowl. Is probably a third round guy coming into the week. And then I think teams saw just how long and heavy handed and explosive he is, and those guys don't grow on trees. So he's going to go pretty quick. I would say those are length and explosion are the two traits that everyone's looking for.
Yeah, he plays that 3 technique and just is a disruptor. Is there anybody better you've seen than Aaron Donald, the guy that'll be on display? This is the best pass rush in the league, right? In LA?
Yeah. No, I've never seen an interior defensive lineman better than Donald. He was in the Senior Bowl, but way before I got here. Sure. I think that was like the 2012 game, but I do remember seeing him down here in that game. And then when I was with the Seahawks, we had to play him twice a year, and I swear to God, he got 5 sacks every year against us. I feel like if he gets 15 sacks a year, he'd get a third of those against the Seahawks. The 5 years I was there, we couldn't block him, and we did everything we could do. We'd double him, we'd triple him, and he still found a way to get to the quarterback. So, no, they're with the Rams pass rush, with the guys they got, man, it's gonna make for a long day for Joe with that offensive line. So hopefully Joe can get the ball out of his hands quick.
What's the advantage of the coaching staffs that are coaching those groups down there last week? I know that it's a huge advantage as far as scouting goes, but from your point of view, the coaching staffs that have access to the Senior Bowl of the on-field development and skill teaching, what's the advantage they take into the evaluating process?
Yeah, there's huge takeaways. You just look at Cincinnati was down here 2 years ago as a 2-win football team, and now they're playing on Sunday. So you can flip this thing pretty quick. It happened 4 years ago with San Francisco too. They went to the Super Bowl the very next year after picking like 4th in the draft that year. But again, a lot of it's behind the scenes stuff. A lot of it's in the meeting room. Who's paying attention? Not only can they learn, but how do they learn? Can they apply coaching on the field? I mean, that's a huge thing too. I mean, because when you're in the middle of a game and you're seeing something for the first time and you're trying to get a point across to a player, can they go back out there that next series and apply that? So there are those things, just having meals with them three times a day and hearing their stories where they're just learning the person. I think I say this all the time, the hardest part as a scout is trying to figure out the person. I mean, the more you're in football, the more you're around it, the more tape you watch, you're going to get better on the evaluative side. And that's the easier part, is watching the tape and figure out if they can play or not. The hardest part is figuring out who the person is and do they fit in your culture, do they fit in your building. So those are the takeaways. Those two teams that participate, I feel like always have an advantage.
Seems like Malik Willis made a lot of money last week.
Yeah, Malik had a really good week. We had 6 of the top 7 quarterbacks in the game. Matty Corral from Ole Miss is the one guy we didn't have because he was a junior. He didn't graduate, but Malik, he showed off all his stuff. He's got all the tools. I've said this. A lot of people have asked me since the game, does he go in the top 10? And I think he could. I think he could end up in the top 10 because for all the reasons that San Francisco picked Trey Lance last year with the 3rd overall pick are the same reasons that teams are going to like Malik Willis. He's a high-end athlete. He's incredibly strong. Ian, this guy he is really hard to get on the ground. He didn't get great protection at Liberty, so he faced a ton of fast pressure, and he just shrugs people off and a different body type. But it reminds me of Big Ben when I scouted Roethlisberger at Miami of Ohio years and years ago. He's got a really strong arm. We stayed outside for an inclement weather day in practice on Wednesday. We had some steady rains and 20 mile an hour winds, and Malik's ball just cut through that. So the arm strength is real. I brought up the Zebra technology tracking stuff. They also chipped the balls, and like all the ball metrics for Malik were the best down here last week. So he's got a ton of tools, and I think some team's going to see that guy. What's he going to be 3 or 4 years down the road, and they're going to see a guy they're going to be able to win a lot of games with. So Malik had a nice week.
Is that data the Bible for guys like you? Like that analytic power that you guys now have access to? I'd say more of the scout standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Jordy, it certainly helps. I mean, any data helps. Anything that can help you gain. I mean, all you're trying to do as a scouting staff is gain conviction by the time you get to April. Is he a guy for us or not? Just to boil it down, and data helps. So like I'll bring it back to a couple of years ago. We had Van Jefferson in the game from University of Florida. wide receiver. And, Van came down here with he had a hairline fracture in his foot. He wanted to go anyway, so he practiced all week. And that foot ended up popping on him on Thursday. So he didn't do anything the rest of the process. No combine, no pro day, no 40-yard dash, nothing. Still goes in the second round because his GPS tracking stuff during the week was faster than guys in our game like Chase Claypool, Antonio Gibson, that went to the combine and ran 4.3. That we knew those guys ran 4.3 at Indy. And then down here on a football field, which is way more important than guys running shorts, Van was faster than those guys. He was the fastest guy in our game. So teams were like, didn't even matter if he ran a 40-yard dash. Didn't matter if he went to the combine. Like we know how he carries his football pads on a field. So yes, the data really helps.
Which teams were the earliest in your mind to be able to kind of start asking you for that data? Like, I feel like it's kind of the new age coaching when you see all the younger guys coming in with the Sean McVays and people like that who drafted Van Jefferson. So is it those guys that are kind of ushering in the new era of essentially scouting?
Yeah, I mean, we've already had teams reach out about, we haven't gotten ourselves from Zebra yet. So when we get that, we're going to get that out to the teams, and that's a big sell for our week too. I mean, that's part of coming down here. We give access to that information. So no, all those calls are starting right now. I'm getting calls from all the teams about who is great for, who is good for our guys behind the scenes. Who is on time, who is accountable. Personality questions. I mean, that's the phone's been ringing. Injury stuff. Like who fought through stuff. Who played in the game that was hurt all week? Who went to the trainers on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but ended up playing on Saturday? Those are the questions the teams are all calling with right now.
When's the recruiting process start for future games?
In about 3 weeks. So we'll give 2.5 now. Well, we're going to take this week off and then the next 2 weeks, and we're just going to recharge the batteries. I think most everyone's going to get out of the office and kind of shake their heads loose of all the information they've compiled over the past year with this class, and then we'll jump on 2023 here pretty soon.
You have relationships with coaches all over the country. What do you think of Brian Kelly as the fit in Baton Rouge, leading LSU now?
Yeah, I've known Brian a long time, going back to his time at Grand Valley State. A Division II program up in Michigan. I was scouting the Midwest up there for the Patriots when Brian made that move from Grand Valley to Central Michigan, and then he goes from CMU to Cincinnati and then Notre Dame. I was up there that whole time, so go back quite a ways with Brian and a lot of guys that he's had on his staff. I think it's a good hire. He's won. He's won Notre Dame. I mean, he elevated that Notre Dame program. I mean, just got to go back and see what he took over. That program wasn't in a great place, and I think what LSU has. In terms of that recruiting base in that state and in that footprint, I mean, it's a great job. I mean, I think the Notre Dame job is a great job, but I can see why Brian Kelly jumped on the LSU job. That's on the very short list of best jobs in the country because of the players you can recruit. So I can't wait to see what they put together. And in this staff, he's hired some good assistants that I know. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's definitely a different program, different part of the country than Notre Dame, but I think Brian's going to get it done.
Last one for you. Or no, and I got one more after that. Do you think Tom's retiring? You think Brady's out?
Yeah,
I don't either.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a hard one. I mean, to what's he going to do? Walk away from the game for a year or two and then come back as a 46-year-old guy, 47-year-old guy? I mean, that's not like it's not one of these guys that retires at 31 and then they get the itch when they're 33 or 34 to come back. I mean, at some point, if he does, he's going to have to keep himself in incredible shape, which he's done. So I don't know. I think this is it for him. I really do.
Last one, Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is in it in his first full healthy season, his second year as a pro. Jamar Chase is his top wide receiver, and they're taking on the Los Angeles Rams. How do you like this game, and how do you like the build-up of it?
I mean, I'll say this. It's hard for me to pick these games. I've been so focused on what we're doing at the Senior Bowl. I don't watch a lot of NFL stuff. I am pulling for the Bengals. I've got friends on that Rams staff too, so I'll be happy either way. I'll have friends get rings, which is great. I love that. But I do, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. I got connected with him pretty good when he was coming out. Met him that summer before his senior year at the Manning camp, and we were we jumped on him. I mean, you can go back on Twitter. I think after the first game Joe played that year, maybe the Texas game, first or second game, I mean, we said he was the best player in college football. So we've been on the Joe Burrow bandwagon for a long time here in Mobile. Great kid. Love his family. Love his dad, Jimmy. So I'm rooting for those guys, and really for Zach Taylor. Why am I blanking on Zach's
Nebraska, huh?
Nebraska, yeah. I mean, they coached in our game a couple of years ago too, and Zach's just such a down to earth, like genuine guy. A lot of those head coaches at that level, by the time they get there, can be pretty affected and change kind of. But Zach hasn't. Zach is just the most down to earth, normal guy. So I would love to see the Bengals pull it off.
For as much a crusader as you were for Bengals, I swear I heard a couple of Bengals there in that pronunciation. So it is good to close on a high note with Jim Nagy, who is the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He has done incredible work of bringing so much interest and intrigue to that game. And next year we will be on Radio Row, man. We were hating to miss it this year, but mark us down next year. Thank you, Jim.
We got you. Thanks, Jordy.
All right, man. There he is.
Big Bengals fan.
Big Bengals guy.
No, he said Bengals.
I don't think he did.
Play the tape.
I don't think he did. It's very easy to go back and see. Yes. Daily, remember?
Told you in the beginning it was Bengals.
No, I know. That's why I had to. That's why I had to circle back and tell him that for as big of as much as a crusader, I mean, it was almost like
talk about it again.
Nagy came in and was like Bengals, Bengals, Bengals. All right, Jim, here's the microphone. I love the Bengals. Okay, there you go. Just get in the game and see what happens. You know, everybody thinks they're Bengals. Everybody thinks you're a Bengal. Then you get in the game. And you find out you're a Bengal. So everybody just hold off on your lecturing and your tweets. I mean, is that the hill we want to die on, bro?
It's the hill you want to die on, apparently.
No, because I'm not that. I mean, I'm so secure. I'm so secure of the Bengal on where I am on Bengals. You know what I mean? It's you Bengal people that are just so insecure.
You know who we should ask is Lindsey Thompson. She would know for sure. She's from there.
She is.
She's the one, and she's a huge Bengals fan.
Yeah, look at Louis Caro. Your boy just said Bengals.
You say Bengals. Shut up,
stir the pot.
Play both sides.
Exactly.
I'm so done with it.
I respect your style, bro.
Yeah.
Edward Jones and Daniel Newman. Remember Daniel Newman. We are having a tailgate this Saturday. The tailgate will be around the Indian Mounds on campus. Yes, moving spots.
That's where A-Town gets down.
Give us that weather that they had yesterday, please.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Have we looked at the weather?
Will we be by ourselves over there in that area? Do people tailgate over there before?
Oh, yeah, that's where.
No. We're going to have to because there's an indoor track meet that's going on. So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of access to that parking lot where we were last week.
Yeah. But it's easy to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right between the cleavage.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. Yeah. Is that where it is? Is it do you know where on the Indian Mounds about?
I'd imagine right there.
Yeah.
Right in the sweet spot.
Right
between the cleavage.
right in the sweet spot.
Ooh, Saturday, high 64.
I love it. 3:30.
Perfect.
Compliments of Daniel Newman. Papa Earl's Spice is going to be cooking up some jambalaya. They're going to be here Friday morning cooking up some shrimp and grits as well. But Papa Earl's is going to be there. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones is going to be there Saturday, 3:30. The tailgate starts for LSU, Mississippi State. Tom's bringing the booze. We'll be at the Indian Mounds. Thank you, Tommy G.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
And that's where we'll be for this weekend's tailgate party leading up to LSU basketball versus Mississippi State. Looking forward to getting back to the Maravich Center as the Tigers need a little bit of a home stand here. So they'll be back for the next couple of games. State on Saturday is the first one that they will tip off. And Edward Jones and Daniel Newman, who are basketball junkies. He's a part of Edward Jones. Can help you out with. I bet you Edward Jones loved basketball. How much money as he had access to. Oh. Yeah, right. Give me.
I'll get those tickets for you.
Give me old Hondo and the Celtics for a grand.
The hook.
Yeah, right. Give me Havlicek and the Celtics.
That's why I'm managing all this money.
Bob Pettit, the Hawks.
Dropping 50.
Daniel Newman can help you out with all your financial advice. Any fiscal advice that you may need, whether it's investments, 401ks, Social Security. He is a genius in the plant industry, so he understands the fiscal setup for all Dow, BASF, all of the Exxon, the plants around the area. So if you work in that industry at one of those spots and you've got questions about your financial investments, well-being, on where they have you set up, get in touch with Daniel. He can help you out and answer all your questions for today. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. We talked a little bit about the LSU basketball game in the first half, and we talked on all the Pelicans.
Pelicans making
Made a move yesterday, bringing in C.J. McCollum, send off Josh Hart and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I hated to see him go, right? Josh Hart hurts defensively. Yeah. Yeah, right. He cares. And it will be interesting to see where McCollum now fits in with this new lineup. How close Zion is to get. Does anybody know the status of what's going on?
Strange graphic.
I mean,
posted
is he
yesterday with those three, like Brandon Ingram,
Yes.
Zion, and McCollum? Because
who's the dude on the left?
Lloyd said, "Who's number one?" What was that on?
and he doesn't. I know he doesn't look like that right now.
No way.
Zion is a total. That's a waste
Yeah.
of time to even put him in the graphic. Whoever had to cut him out and put him in there, I'm sorry you had to do that. He won't. I don't think he'll play a second for the Pelicans. Like, am I wrong there?
Not this season.
Unless, I mean, C.J. McCollum, there's no way that moved the needle for him. Like, that's not the move that they're like, okay,
Last update
now I'm
was
in.
January 13th on him on his is it foot?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's foot. My foot.
Well, they're the 10th seed, right? Yeah. They've won. They beat Houston last night. Brandon Ingram had 26 as they beat the Rockets 110-97, but they made the move yesterday. Pelicans were playing their first game since agreeing to terms on a trade earlier that day, which is going to bring C.J. McCollum from Portland to New Orleans, and they're sending Josh Hart and Nikhil Alexander-Walker up to Portland. One thing that this definitely does signify is that Dame's going to be a Laker by June.
Absolutely.
The Dame dollar up in Portland experiment is cashed. That is over.
And you'll probably see maybe the Pelicans and the Lakers maybe meet up in the play-in game, right? Like, they would be probably lining up for that, so you'd get Dame against C.J. McCollum in a playoff game, which would be interesting.
That'd be cool.
I mean, Zion won't be there, but there's some star power.
Yeah, he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Does he even go to the games anymore?
No.
He doesn't even go to the
He
games.
watches him at TJ Ribs.
No,
Wow.
he does not. He goes.
CJ Ribs.
Does he go to the games though? Really? I mean, is he sitting on the bench for games?
Yeah, they got to give him 2 seats.
He's got to go, right?
I don't think you have to go.
I mean, it depends
mean,
on.
not you have
well,
to,
I mean, it
but surely
depends.
you
It
would.
depends on what he is. Like what his rehab schedule is, like where he is on rehab. I mean, if he can
He's in
do,
the bulking phase.
he can do all of it on, at the Pelicans place, or if he can do it while
I
traveling.
think he was in Oregon at Nike.
Oh,
Like,
sweet.
Of
rehab.
course, dude. Yeah. That dude hasn't been in New Orleans since he got drafted.
It's unbelievable, man. All right, so the Pelicans are on a move, but no Zion in sight. As
Oregon.
the poll question is up. Will Zion play another second for the New Orleans Pelicans? With 14 votes in right now, 65% of you believe that he will not. So that's good. That's a good outlook for Pelicans in the future. The number one pick. How do you miss on the number one pick in the NBA twice? Like
We didn't miss. He didn't want to play.
I mean, Anthony Davis just.
I guess he wasn't a miss for the Pelicans, but you didn't win anything with him. You know what I mean?
Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
him.
Well, they didn't make any moves to like win with him.
Right.
So,
Well, they had it one year, and then Marcus Cousins tore his ACL.
Yeah.
That was the team.
Oof. Golly, that was brutal. All right, so we'll talk more about LSU basketball here as the Tigers are coming back home to play Mississippi State. And we were talking about it earlier. You hate to put so much pressure on one guy on a basketball team, or really any sport, that you really have to look at and say, hey, man, bail us out. You know what I mean? Or get us right. And it looks like Xavier Pinson is that guy for LSU basketball. I don't think that's up for debate, but I mean, the stability that he was able to provide last night with LSU on just being on the floor was pretty incredible to see, because they look like a totally different team. And we mentioned the domino effect that him being out there really provides for everybody. You don't necessarily have to have minutes being distributed with certain guys. Tari Eason, for example, came back off the bench last night, which I think Wade is much more comfortable with him in that role because he provides a spark and piece of energy for your team that you just can't recreate when he's already out there. And then as Wade matched up, as he pointed out last night in the post game, basketball is a game of matchups. It really is. I mean, some teams match up against other teams that may not have comparable records. There's certain players that match up against individuals that may throw them off on a night. And when Tari Eason is being matched up in a starting role versus small forwards, the 3 spot, which is where he was starting over that stretch where they were just trying to find some answers, trying to find some relief, trying to find some help. And they were trying everything. Take Eason off the bench, put him in the starting lineup. But when you do that, now you're taking the matchup of which he's got a big advantage. When he was coming off the bench, you were usually subbing him in and out for Efton Reed. And he was going up against and matching up against the other team's 4 or 5 guys, the power forward or the center. And there's not too many power forwards or centers that can handle his versatility and being able to dribble the ball away from the basket and get to the rack like he does. But when he's playing the 3 and other teams' small forwards are guarding him, that's a tougher matchup for him. It's going to take him out of his game. He's going to have to exert a lot more energy on the offensive end than he's been doing coming off the bench and really, owning his competition because the matchup suited LSU so well. So it is crazy to see the domino effect of being a little unhealthy like LSU is and taking a player like Pinson out of the lineup and what it could mean to just the overall production of the team. In the last month has been hugely affected by Pinson not being available and not being right. Because even in the TCU game and Ole Miss game when he was out there and he was playing on a bum leg, it just he couldn't do anything. But last night he had some bounce to him. He was getting off the ground. He was moving up and down the floor. I thought that he looked as close to full strength as we've seen him over the last 5 weeks. And if that's who Pinson is, LSU's a different team. Are they national championship contenders? Probably not. But could they make some noise in the tournament and be a hell of a matchup for somebody? Hell yeah, they could. Because like we just said, it's all about who you go up against and who you're going to be matched up against. And I can promise you, there's more teams out there that don't want to play LSU than teams that would feel like they were a good matchup against them. Because they played well last night and there was still no Fudge and no O'Neal. I mean, when you get really right and you've got those 8, 9 guys in rotation that you can come in waves, like we talk about, basketball, a game of just crashing wave. Can you handle the wave? Well, the wave of LSU basketball, 8, 9 deep, where you've got Fudge, Eason, O'Neal coming off the bench, that's a lot of teams, or there's got to be a lot of teams looking at that scenario and equation saying, I don't want to play that in a 1-game scenario. When you get to March, if you lose, you're going home. And if you can get them right at the right time, where it kind of feels like they're trending in the right direction. Like Pinson looked ahead of schedule to me last night. For his bad, not bad, I'm not trying to come down on his game. I'm saying that he played bad. He didn't look physically right against Ole Miss. Last night, man, if that's where he is right now, I expect him to be a little bit better on Saturday. I expect him to be a little bit better next Tuesday night. And hopefully by the end of February, going into March, SEC tournament time, he's right. And if he is, LSU's a different team. Hoping and saying that everybody around him is healthy too. But I mean, look at the ease of mind that Brandon Murray played with last night. Look at the ease of mind that Darius Days played. I mean, that's one of your seniors. Getting another senior back into the lineup, a couple of veteran guys who understand each other, know that they're a little bit more mature than the guys that they're around and really can handle some of the crazy times that LSU can play into on the floor. I mean, seriously, you could see Pinson's value last night just in clear display. I mean, when LSU, whether it was him not being on the floor or being on the floor, right? Because when he's on the floor, there is this calming effect where they look like they know where the ball is going. They get into some pretty good shots. And if it's starting to get chaotic, he can simply just kind of give me the ball back, reset, and calm everybody down. And then when he's not on the floor, they start jacking up logo threes. They're one-pass shot, no rebound, back on defense, run out for Texas A&M. I mean, all that stuff matters, man. I know that it's everybody's frustrated and people want to point blame and people want to ask the coach and people want, to hear from the coach on what's going on. He gave you 45 minutes the day before they went to Texas A&M and answered every single question about LSU basketball. And when he was asked directly of, does Pinson really just mean that much? He hit you right back into the camera with, yeah, he does. And you could see on his face where he'd like to say, we wish it wasn't like that, but this is where we are, and we got to have him back. And you get him back and you win by 9. And the game looks a lot more calm. They turned it over 22 times. They're not going to beat a lot of people if they turn it over 22 times with or without Pinson. Doesn't matter. You got to protect the ball. But to get the win last night, take it how you get it. First and foremost.
Great news for the tailgate also.
Absolutely. Ride the wave.
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave. So hopefully they can start to slowly put the puzzle pieces kind of back together and figure it out for a late February, early March push. Second weekend team still, I see it. Sweet 16, Elite 8 type contenders. Can they contend for the final weekend? Right now they don't feel like they could.
It's so crazy how much this ebbs and flows with LSU basketball.
Yeah.
Because when you see a game like, not even last night, but when they're all the way right, they're dangerous.
It's all basketball. Everything.
Jack Carpenter, a good friend of our show out in North Carolina. At Jordy, even with the difference with Pinson, the LSU offense still drives me crazy at times. The holding at the top of the key and standing for 5+ seconds kills movement. Pinson, Gaines, Murray, they all do it. I think that this offense is it's so built on this isolation game going into the season where you want to isolate guys like Pinson and Efton Reed going into the season. Now Pinson and guys like Eason and Darius Days, where it feels like an NBA strategy, and that is, it's frustrating to watch when you don't have your guys at full strength. You did see glimpses of it last night when Pinson was out there where they can get into these sets and they can be very effective, playing that style of game. But the setback over the last couple of weeks has been evident that they just don't have anything that they can rely on that they can get an open shot with. They don't have something that they can run that's very simple, that they can just get like a back cut layup or a 8-foot jump shot or something coming off of a double screen or a screen that free up a shooter or something that's just, hey man, we're stuck. We're in mud. We need something. All right, run this. Run high-low. Run motion. Run zip. Whatever it is. I mean, just rather than that ISO ball with, Pinson, Eason, Pinson, Days, Gaines, Eason, where, teams kind of have it scouted. They're figured it out. To me, it doesn't matter who the point guard is. It doesn't matter who the trigger man is. The defenses are going to adjust and try and take that stuff away from you, and LSU is way past that point right now. All right, Hayes Myers is a guy who is on the he's on the Arkansas staff. He was on the LSU staff.
Graduate, LSU Tiger.
He's an LSU graduate.
Yeah.
He's an LSU graduate. He is he's a former Kappa Sig. With Lloyd, so they share that
Never
little
got
weird.
in any
they
trouble together.
Share that little weird handshake that you fratties do.
We don't
together.
do that. We don't really do that.
Okay, good. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, y'all don't have a grip.
We have one. We just don't do it. I tried to bring it back as people hated me when I would do it all the time. Even the old guys were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm bringing it back, dude."
Wow, okay.
I don't care about any of this.
Hayes Myers,
It's
what's
just
his
fun.
role at Arkansas? Is he still the video guy?
I
Is
put
he
it in
on the
the
court?
doc.
Does he wear a suit to games? Is he still wearing coach's polos?
He's polo guy.
Polo guy.
Director of scouting and analytics.
Okay. We'll
It's a
take the
big
director
time
term.
role.
All right, let's go up to Fayetteville. They haven't slept, I'd imagine.
No, he was texting me at 12 last night. I was like, dude, I'm riding the wave right now.
For
he's
sure.
He's like, if you can give me the second hour,
Give me a little volume here. Hayes, good morning. How are you? We're live. It's Jordy.
Good morning. How are you?
Lloyd,
There
Courtney,
we
your
go.
former
What's
frat
up,
brother.
Hazer? That's right.
What's up, Lloyd?
How
How
we
are
doing,
you?
dog? Good, man. Good. With a name like Hayes, you have to be in a fraternity.
You do.
I'm doing great, man. I feel great this morning.
Shit, how can't you, bro?
I know, right?
What a scene last night. All right, take us to it real quick. Director of Scouting and Development with Arkansas basketball. A huge win for the Hogs last night as they take down number 1 Auburn at home in overtime. A great scene that has come out. With the flooding of the court, the lights went off. Next thing you know, Musselman shirtless in the middle of the pack, surfing and riding the wave with a sling on. What has Fayetteville been like for the last 10 hours?
I'll tell you what, that was something incredible. I mean, I've been a part of, this is my 4th time being a part of a game against the number 1 team, first time winning. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I've never been in an environment like that. That was
Arkansas connection.
after the court storming. We're looking for Musk because we're afraid, he's going to fall on his shoulder or something. And all of a sudden I see him in the middle of the pack, no shirt on, going, dancing with everybody. I'm like, Coach, this is, you're going to get hurt. Coach. I don't know what you're doing. But, he's out there living his best life for sure.
How quickly did he get the shirt off and sling back on? Did he do that on the court?
So what's crazy is, he had to go off to the side to do his interview.
Okay, I saw
with
that.
ESPN, right?
Shirt on.
And so
Shirt
there
on.
were 2 cops with him, and they took him back into the locker room. And he went back there and he said, "No, I can't do this. I can't stand in the locker room while the court storming's going on." So he told him, "Hey, help me take off my shirt and let's get me back on the court." So he got the cops to take his shirt off, and they let him back on the court, and he
crazy,
danced
man.
his heart away with those fans. So that was awesome to
amazing.
see, and it was unbelievable. Coach is so juiced, and as he should have been, beating the number 1 team in the country.
It was a great scene, bro. What was that? What's full capacity at Bud Walton? Was it 17,000?
Well, it's 19,200, but I think we let in a few more people than 19,200. It was
Wow.
about 20,000. According to our people, it was the most attended, highest attended game in the history of the arena. So
Wow.
it was unbelievable environment.
You could-
At one point during those free throws, I could not even hear myself think.
You could feel it coming through the television. I mean, it was
I'm
an
sure.
incredible atmosphere and an incredible moment. What has been the ride like for Arkansas this season? You take down LSU in Baton Rouge a couple of weeks ago. LSU going to make the trip back, the home and home coming back in a couple of games. But what has been the wave been like with Arkansas this year? I'd imagine it very kind of up and down like LSU's been on a ride.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we started out this season, being ranked in the top 10 or close to the top 10 and a lot of expectations. And I think, our team's, kind of a young team and not proven. We got a lot of new faces, and I think it was hard for these guys to really gel early on. So, we were able to win some of those non-conference games, and then, we kind of took a dive there around Christmas time, and we're trying to look for our identity, figure out who we were. And we finally found a lineup that's been working for us, and the guys are playing for each other, and they're caring about winning a lot more than their own stats. And I think that's been a huge part of this kind of turnaround, this 9-game win streak, is that the winning is more important than anything. And I think it takes a lot to change that mindset when you're a guy like a Stanley Amude or a Chris Likes who average a lot of points at their last school, to figure out what it really takes to win at a high level, and they figured that out, and they've been rolling ever since.
What do you make of the league right now?
I mean, it's one of the. I mean, I was in the league for 5 years back with the Tigers, and outside of that Anthony Davis Kentucky team, I think this might be the best the league's been in a long time.
Lot of really talented teams, a lot of really talented players, and the defense in this league is incredible. I mean, the defensive, presence, the length, the athleticism, it is hard to score in this league.
From the other side, you don't have to give us a full scouting report, but when you guys go up against LSU, what are the challenges?
Well, I think obviously number one, their defense is really, really tough. I mean, I know they've been on a little bit of a struggle since we've played them, but it's still, it's not easy to play against a team that switches everything and guards and with their length. And I think also, when Penson gets back, if he can be, fully healthy, he changes the way they play. I mean, he's just able to be a guy that they can give the ball to and go get a bucket. And then, Darius Days, when he's on, totally different team. I mean, his rebounding is something special. He, whenever we have done well against them, he has played poorly. Whenever we've struggled against them, he's played really, really well. So he's the big key, going into that game. Is can we figure out a way to neutralize him? Because he's such a dominant force on the glass, and when he's hitting threes, it's really, really tough.
LSU makes the return trip to Fayetteville on March 2nd to take on the Hogs. Hogs riding high right now after last night's win in an incredible environment over number 1 Auburn. What was the challenges that Auburn present? They come at you in so many different ways, and their defense, led by Walker Kessler, is a hell of a matchup. When you were going into that one yesterday, or you guys were scouting for Auburn, what was the biggest hurdle you guys had to overcome to get that win?
Well, number one, you rarely see a guy who has the skills that Walker Kessler has. I mean, to be able to get 19 rebounds and 7 blocks in a game, I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, that's absurd. It's really, really hard to finish on him. I thought we did a really good job of getting him in foul trouble, which was huge. And then Jabari Smith, I mean, the guy's a top 5 pick. He's an absolute crazy talent. Being 6'10", being able to shoot the ball as well as he does is that's a huge hurdle. And I think, a lot of it too is their guards are really good. I mean, they present a lot of challenges, and I think our guys really, really locked in, really had a great focus and did a great job of finishing the game off. I wish we would have rebounded it better, but you wish for a lot of things, but I'll take the win no matter how it came.
Director of Scouting and Analytics for Arkansas basketball. Huge win for the Hogs last night. Hayes Myers, a former fraternity brother of Lloyd. I know that you're professionally paid now and on a professional payroll and don't want to put a lot of your past out there, but do you have anything on Lloyd that we can ride with?
Lloyd's the man. All I'll say about Lloyd is we had a lot of fun at those parties.
That's right.
Way to keep it safe, Hayes. Keep the Hogs rolling.
I'm still a pro.
That's right.
Keep the Hogs rolling, bro.
Bond.
Tell Musselman to keep his shirt on and tell him hello.
Wait, Hayes.
I can't promise anything.
Hayes, there's a lot of Willie Daniel hit me with a little text. He said there's a lot of rumors going around about this getting ejected from a co-ed charity basketball game, Hazer?
That sounds like an affirmative.
Willie and I had our fair share of arguments with intramural referees. We can't. I won't deny that. I will say I do apologize to my intramural team for costing us the game a few times after getting a couple technicals. But I will. I'll go back and I'll apologize for that. But we still won the intramural championship, so I can't be too mad about it.
I love the passion, Hayes. Keep it up, buddy. Thank you for the time this morning, man. You got it. There he is.
Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it, y'all. Thanks, Lloyd.
Yeah, brother.
Hayes Myers from the University of Arkansas. Nice work there, Lloyd.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Great guy.
You want to impress somebody, get Musselman the day of the Arkansas game.
Do it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a challenge.
Well, he's got to get his shirt on first.
If
we're going to do a video call
if we could do the
him,
video call with him shirtless in a sling, Lloyd.
That would be money.
That would be.
Please do it.
His poor nipples with that.
That's a rub.
Sling.
Yeah, that's
That's a
tough.
rub.
I love that the cops helped him do that.
It's
I would love
this
to
is not
watch
on
that.
I'm not on the payroll for this, am I?
Right?
Could you imagine how
Muscleman.
excited he was? Like, help me get this off. Like, I gotta get out there.
Going back out there.
I know.
Shirtless.
It's
Shirtless.
amazing.
Guy, bro.
Wait, I gotta take my shirt off. Okay, all right. First day on the job.
Remember our friends at Relief Med? It seems like Musselman. You think Relief Med, Musselman?
I don't know. He doesn't have the body fat for it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he's all I think he's more in the uppers.
He's riding my train.
Relief Med, RELEAF med.com. You ride this train too, Lloyd. You're on them all, buddy.
That's
right. Remember the promo code Jordy1 to save $20 off of your initial purchase over there at Relief Med. This is medical marijuana, which is legalized now in the state of Louisiana, and flower is available to you. If you want to get online and use that promo code, like we said, you'll save 20% off of your initial visit and purchase. And if you have not gotten into the system yet, you need to get online, reliefmed.com, and just follow the easy step-by-step process to go through a virtual tour and a virtual sit-down with a trained medical doctor to get your recommendation and get over to Relief Med today to make that happen. Make sure and use that promo code Jordy1 to keep up with all that's happening over at Relief Med, RELEAF med.com, reliefmed.com.
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking about.
Like that was a thought glaring.
It was. I was
stare.
thinking how Hayes got there and how I got to where I am. And it's because when we used to go out.
A little life moment.
Yes, he was like drawing up plays and like running all the scouting stuff. I was like, oh, this all makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
We were all about to go out. He's like, hold on, I got to finish this, and this. We're like, well, we'll just catch you out there, dude. Like, we're leaving. And I guess the grind worked out for him there.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Absolutely, man. That's a good gig.
It is.
It's a good gig.
It's a real title.
Yeah, it is a very real title. And if he understands the analytics of it too, that gives him a very
I think you probably got that from Willie.
Kind of ahead of the game.
Willie Wade.
How many years did he spend with Willie?
4.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll mind me saying that, but whenever Musselman left, Musselman kind of tagged him as his guy, as like a personal assistant.
So he was kind of on the crossover between Johnny Jones and Will Wade?
Yeah.
Damn.
He was around. He loved it.
Yeah.
Probably still does.
Yeah.
Had a blast last night.
If you don't love that life, if you don't love, you can't do that. You have to love it.
Yeah.
Because first off, the people that you're competing against every day absolutely love it. And if you don't, you're going to get so burned out by it so quick because, I mean, that was the turn off to me. It really was. I mean, I wanted to be able to see my fan. I wanted to be able to see my people. You know what I mean? Like, if you are a coach, it's almost like you feel guilty when you're away from the facility, was the impression that I got. Now, this was 15 years ago, and they weren't making $2 million as basketball coaches per season. And the money that they now distribute through all sports because of the money that comes in because of, television contracts in the SEC and the football money. I mean, I'm not saying that money soothes that and makes that, that doesn't make the relationship between the kid and the parent any better, but it definitely gives you something to think about when you're, if that's some of the qualifiers for the job. I mean, you can bring your family up to work with you if you're making $2 million a year.
You can bring anybody's family up to work with you, apparently.
You can do what you want.
Why don't y'all run through the bags a little bit? Go have some fun.
But the grind of it and the absolute long days and grueling, just tedious tasks that it takes.
No stone unturned.
And then you're really waiting on a 17, 18-year-old to tell you whether or not he's coming in. And if he doesn't, everybody's job's in jeopardy. I mean, like, it's a hell of a balancing act, man. It is a young man's sport. It's a young person's sport. It really is, because just the everyday grind of it will age you within a week. I mean, it's the things that you stress, the compliance department within your own university, the recruiting aspect of it, the development aspect of it, the facilities part of it. I mean, there's just
it never stops.
Non-stop. The academic part of it. I mean,
that's why Slinger didn't want to take the job again.
Absolutely.
He's like, I know exactly what this is, and I don't want to do it again.
It's not coaching football.
I don't want to sleep in my office anymore. Like, I don't want this. And then he got coerced into it and lived him to a national championship, essentially, with Joe Brady. But, like, that's the fun part. But he recognizes the grind because he's done it before, and he's like, I'm an old man. I don't want to go sleep in my office anymore. But he flipped the switch back into coach mode, and it's just it's a mentality you have to have. I'd imagine that is just unlike any other. Because Bruce Arians talks about it. He's like, I don't want my people sleeping here. Like,
Yeah.
he'll kick you out.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to go about it, but Bill Belichick is sleeping in the
Doesn't
office.
Bruce Arians have a rule like if your kids have like a game,
Birthday parties or
anything,
you
have
like
to
you
miss.
can't miss. You can't miss that. You can't miss that
Yeah.
function. You miss the team meeting or whatever it is.
And Will Wade's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
he was recruiting.
well, Will Wade saw his daughter born on FaceTime.
He was out recruiting, right?
He was sitting in Nas Reed's living room, which I saw
crazy.
Nas Reed was on SportsCenter's top 10 last night.
Yeah.
Nas is a baller.
Nas was a ball.
Was he on Team USA in the offseason? When he on Team USA's World
I
Game
think
team?
he was on the USA team.
Yeah, he was on the World Game team.
So Kim Mulkey talked a lot about this yesterday at her
Yes.
luncheon. A lot of people had questions. There were a lot of
She's got
boosters
great
in there.
perspective on
Richard
this.
Lipsey was up in there. So she started it off with,
Ooh, heavy hitters.
yeah, there were a lot of heavy hitters in there, and she did it right. She started off with saying that she said, so when we were in Oxford and we turned down Manning Way to go to their new basketball facility, and everybody in the room was like just sitting there like, and she's like looking at everybody pointing, and we're like, yeah, we got it. And she was talking about that, and a lot of people had questions about NIL and transfer portal and how she handles it. And she was just saying, like, there's really my hands are out of it. Like, if a business calls me and says, like, how is this kid? Are they a good kid? She said, I can't say a word. She said, we don't even know, like, they'll sign an NIL deal, and we can't say anything about it. We don't know anything about it. This is their game. Same with the transfer portal. She's like, maybe they go in the portal. Maybe they wake up one morning and say, I don't like it here anymore. I'm homesick. And she's like, there's nothing we can do about it. And listening to her talk about that was just really cool. Like, and I don't even know how she does it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how she was standing up straight, like rolling in from Oxford, doing that luncheon, going straight to practice, then her radio show. We were just like, how do you do this every day?
So I'm saying it's a young person's game, man. And really, Mulkey's got this extraordinary energy.
She does.
That, she's always kind of tapping into. But I mean, it's a hell of a schedule. It's a
Yeah.
hell of a process. It's a hell of an on-taking in today's world. And like I said, I tell little Jay all the time that if, we kind of start thinking about, like, what do you want to do? Like, like what, and to me, he would be a great coach because at an early age, he understands kind of what he's looking at. He can tell people where they should be. He understands what other people are supposed to be doing. He's easy to talk the game with at a young age. And that, to me, that if you continue to grow that, that's kind of the coaching model. Like, like that you have the basis of it as a kid where he loves it. He's passionate about it. He wants more of it. He'll stop the TV on a random college basketball game and just watch it.
Days.
You know what I mean? Like, don't you remember that? Now he's got me back into it because I remember the days of how I'm looking at him and I see the emotion and how cool that is for him. And I know exactly what he's feeling. I know exactly what he's going through. And I thought about being a coach. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, I was like,
Still dabble.
yeah, I mean,
He's
at the highest
he's
level.
out scouting 11-year-olds.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But at the highest
Sell
level,
yourself
I wanted
short.
to be my professional life. I wanted to be a coach, and I thought at certain times, like, I'm going to be good at this. I can do this. Like, I'm confident in this arena. You know what I mean?
Give me that whiteboard.
Yeah, right. I can do this. And but I've like what scares me about just talking that type of lifestyle and planting that seed for him is it is a grueling
And there's no shortcuts.
profession. And
No.
there's no shortcuts and there's no cheating. You got to go through all of it. Like, no, I wasn't mean cheating, but there's no cheating the process as far as like you're going to
Start
pay your
here.
dues, man. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be LSU's head coach in your first year.
job.
You're not going to be Marcus Freeman. Your first job's not going to be Notre Dame football. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a
Well, even Marcus Freeman, I'm sure you can go back through his coaching lineage and see where he actually started to get to the spot where he is able to be the head coach of Notre Dame football. Like, people don't realize, I'm sure he coached, lower level,
Sure.
whatever the
high
hell.
school. And,
you have to
absolutely.
start
Pay
there.
your dues, man.
Yeah.
Pay your dues.
Because I've had friends that have done, we all kind of think similarly. We all, love sports. It's like, well, how do I keep doing this? Because this is the one thing that I like. And like they went through the coaching route, and that you end up having to teach in high school. And he's like, I didn't sign up for this bullshit.
Right,
yeah.
Like
exactly.
kids are standing up trying to fight me. He's like, bro, I'll fight you right here.
Right.
Like this is not going to go the way you think it is.
Right.
And he's like, fuck this, dude, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like it's just every day you wake up, I'm like, I got to teach these goddamn kids.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is thinking about getting to practice.
No,
And then you're
that's
worn out by
hard.
that time.
Yeah.
It's a tough grind, dude. They weed you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I remember being on the basketball staff during those days, and like the people my age on Saban's staff that he was weeding out. Like, I mean, he would work those guys 120 hours a week.
Yeah, just
I mean,
just
to
because.
see, just to see.
Who's going to show up again
Yeah,
tomorrow?
absolutely. And if they didn't show up or they were late, they were done. You know what I mean? And it was the guys that stuck. I mean, like that Adam Gases were around then. And
You see how he does it with
yeah, right. I mean, Kirby Smart was a young staffer on those LSU squads. He was he was on that last 2004 staff.
Muschamp
Yeah, but Muschamp was his
guy.
I mean, he was his DC.
Yeah.
You know, but if you go back, it's incredible to look at the staff during that time, right? Like Jimbo, Muschamp, Smart, all those guys are on the same staff. What would probably be more impressive is in 2002, you really didn't have a secondary staff or a support staff, but Saban was, he was doing some stuff behind the scenes that were probably edging on, pushing the envelope, and he probably had, 10 or 12 people around the program with, undocumented titles, just kind of around breaking down film and making sure they were scouting. Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm on Nick's payroll.
Oh, yeah. Ask coach.
Ask
Coach.
coach.
Okay, never mind.
Exactly. But those guys would probably like the guys that he's had on staff before we even knew him. Who was the defensive coordinator that he had that went to run the Cleveland Browns? To the defensive coordinator. I think Doobie's here. Rio Lehman. Sam Nader.
Legend. I don't know. That's the only picture I can find of the full staff, but they circled him.
That's random.
Look at Baglio in the bottom left. Young Bags. Baby. Sitting next to Derek Dooley, Jimbo Fisher, Saban.
And Nick Altan?
Hell
in the
yeah,
middle?
bro.
That's right.
I think that's where you started to do the dyeing of the hair.
Oh, this is the glow up.
Yeah. Look at Kirby top right, bro. Look how weird that haircut is.
This is Kirby?
That's Kirby top right.
Oh.
Wait,
That's
have
weird.
you ever heard the stories about
Above Sam.
Kirby Smart, like in the defensive backs room?
At LSU?
Saban would want the film on a certain play, so the DBs would go in early, and they would put it on another play, and Saban would come in and just go off on Kirby Smart, like, why is this on this? Like,
You gotta
that
have
was
one.
their joke to
You gotta have.
Kirby,
You
'cause
gotta
he
have
was,
one.
the
You gotta
young
have one you can
assistant.
beat up on,
Right.
right?
You just never want to be that guy.
Or do you?
I don't know.
Kirby was that guy.
Or
and
do you?
see where he's at now?
Or do you? I think that the guy that they feel comfortable, Lane. That the story goes is that Saban would tell Lane Kiffin, "I'm probably going to light you up on the sideline today."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we're good.
But it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Kiffin's like, okay, I'm going to smile at you when you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm calling it.
I'm going to get mine off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And just like Saban, I think, has plant media members that ask him questions that
Tee him up for subjects
he
could
goes
go
off
on. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that all of that stuff is calculated, man. I really do. And it's
I
just.
think LSU was doing that this year.
With O?
I don't think they were. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought you
I
said
don't think they were playing that game.
No, I think somebody probably above O was just trying to, manipulate it and say, it's never going to get right.
Let all
again.
those phone calls through.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh,
All
Derek.
right. Have a great Wednesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, Thursday. I can't wait for Mic'd Up today. Mic'd Up is going to be here 11 o'clock. Mikey will be in studio. He's sitting down with Chad Jones for storytelling, and that should be phenomenal entertainment. I mean, if you saw Besh and Jack Besh and Walker Howard, who were in last week, and they got into storytelling mode, that was as good a media as we've produced over here. And I'd imagine that these two former teammates in Chad Jones and Mikey Matuk,
And Jay
remembering
Mitch.
some of the, Jared Mitchell's going to be here
He's coming
too.
too.
Remembering some of those stories from back in the day and hearing some of the Chad Jones freaky athletic stories are going to be cool coming up at Mic'd Up. Make sure you're subscribed to Mic'd Up if you're not. 11 to 1 o'clock It is on our YouTube page. You can click that subscription button right there and be caught up with all of what's happening over at Mic'd Up and over here at FM Digital Media. But 11 o'clock this morning, he'll be back with you. And check out our podcast, brought back to you by RMB, all of the platforms. In fact, Mic'd Up is now podcasting on all of the same platforms that you can find the Jordy Culotta Show podcast. So make sure you are subscribed and give a review, rate and review, 5-star, whatever you want to feel, and leave some comments about the podcast. That helps us get it circulating and getting it moving. But thank you for being here this morning. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Compliments of Ghost Chevrolet.
Back to Mic'd Up. Will Harris is in here. Welcome. Will, Yum. Welcome. First day in the studio. It's nice walking around. Yeah, some football talk. We're not talking football anymore. We're talking baseball. We're gonna get this deal done or what? We're gonna have we got the big meeting today with the players union and the